Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start. We've had a bit of a technology problem today, so we've run into the hour already. But this is our last presentation for the roundtable this semester, and it's on dramatized videos presented by Brent from the Office of Mediated Education. He's the electronic media coordinator. And he works with a lot of videos instructors, and he has a lot of experience. And dramatized videos is how to get across your content by using dramatized videos. So let's find out. Let's welcome him, and let's find out what he's done. And he's going to show us some examples that he's used in courses. So welcome.
Thank you. Right, so to begin with, my name is Brent. I work here for the university. I've been working here for a long time, since a student. And I graduated in 2000, and now I've been working here for the university, dealing with video specifically. My title is Electronic Media Coordinator, but what that entails is basically educational media consulting, manipulation of video into various forms, sometimes for distance education, sometimes just for local education as well, on-campus education. In addition to that, I've also served in the military. I've been in for about 17, 18 years now. And for the past 9 years, I've been working as an instructor, as a certified instructor for the military. The class that I've been teaching for the past 10 years for the military is a specific class on how to train soldiers to be good instructors. And part of that entails how to use media, how to manipulate media, how to use it in the classroom. So my approach to this deals with both higher education as well as the military, and that's my background associated with that. So, dramatized video for higher education. I'm going to cover various different things here. We're going to go over the what, the why, the when, and the how associated with dramatized video. So let's talk about the what. When I'm saying dramatic, let's identify what are some standard operating procedures or standard operating definitions for dramatic. This all comes from the internet, various places, Wikipedia, Wiktionary, as well as Princeton itself. They define dramatic as sensational or thrilling in effect, powerful and expressive, from the Greek word meaning action. Some of the people thinking about dramatic videos might think, oh, dramatic, you mean you're going to take something and turn it into Romeo and Juliet and have a play. That's dramatic. I'm approaching it in a much different way because there's so much more associated with it. In my dealings with creating video for the campus, there's a lot that can be done with video that isn't necessarily being done, and that's part of what this presentation is about. So I've come up with a little acronym to help professors and instructors think about video when they're creating it. And the acronym is called DRAMA, and it stands for Dynamic, Realism, Action, Multimodal, and Analogies. What I mean by that is that dynamic, you want your videos to generally be dynamic so that you can engage the student and help with the interest of the subject matter. Realism, you want to actually show it as opposed to just talking. There's so much more that can be gained by actually showing it as opposed to just words all the time. Action, the movement, something's actually going on. Again, this helps with the overall interest. Multimodal. Now, multimodal to some might be thinking, oh, well, that's a contradiction in that we already have the mode in that this is audio and video. But what I'm referring to here, multimodal, is that more than one way in that when we have the video itself, there's more than one thing going on. I'm not only giving you a bunch of facts, I'm also trying to pique an emotional interest. I'm showing you the passion of what it is that I'm talking about. I'm showing you that I'm interested in what I'm doing, so thereby that tends to go over and that you'll become interested in it. Because if a professor is up here, even if he creates his own video and he's not interested in the subject matter, the students will definitely know that. And if you're not interested in it, why in the world would they be? And analogies. Analogies, that's one of the biggest tools for an instructor, regardless of using video or not, is in taking something abstract, comparing it to something that's more concrete, and there we go with the understanding. Definitely gets improved. This is like that. So we talked about what we're defining it as and what it's all about. In order for you to fully understand this, I have various different examples. in seeing some other presentations going on here, there's often an argument that comes up with, okay, you're talking about using this technology or using videos themselves. Well, that definitely doesn't apply to me. Why? Because that can work for something like an English class or a language class, but that can't apply to me because I deal with chemistry, I deal with mathematics, I deal with something that's very informationally based. That's true to an extent in that you can't use it in the same way, but there are definitely many different possibilities for one to consider in how this can be applied, how the course itself, the educational process, can be improved through an incorporation of some of these dramatized videos, examples that we're talking about. So the first one I picked here is anthropology. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present information real quick. This is going to be short. I'm going to present information in a lecture type format. And then I'm going to show you basically the exact same information in a video format, more dramatized, just so that we can see the comparison. Now, this isn't necessarily one is way better than the other. It's just there's a difference there. There's tools. They could work differently. They could work separately. They could work together. It all depends on you as the instructor, the facilitator, making those decisions. You're the subject matter experts. You would be able to understand how to use this, but it's just an understanding. And so when we go through these examples, definitely see in yourself if there's any type of difference. Do you realize any difference in these two different techniques that I'm going to be using? So keep that in mind as we go through. So the first one is anthropology. Anthropology. In studying the social norms of developed nations and their use of online video technology, the use of replicating and manipulating voluntary presented media continues to escalate. What were once personal, private family events are increasingly being made public so as to contribute to a larger community experience. This distribution allows for comments, reproduction, reinterpretation, and popularity observance. Okay, so I just gave you some information, some data, okay? Now I'm taking it, I'm processing it as a student. So that's one technique. Let's look at a different technique here as far as presenting it in a more dramatized video and seeing if there's a difference, if there's a different type of impact.
But the most commonly uploaded videos on YouTube are actually home videos. And this is a famous example that many of you may have seen. Most of the uploads on video are actually meant for less than 100 viewers.
Ouch! Ouch! Ouch, Charlie! Ow! Charlie! That really hurt!
Now what's really interesting about this is the sort of participatory nature of YouTube. This has been redone or remixed about over 2,000 times.
Charlie! Ow! Ow! Charlie! Ouch! Charlie!
That really hurt, and it's still healthy.
And some of these remixes actually get really sophisticated. So here somebody's actually remixed it using Fruity Loops, if you know what that is. I'll show you what it is in a second. But there's actually like the simplicity of drag and drop editing, sort of almost like cut and paste work with video and audio.
Basically the exact same information presented in two different techniques. Think about what's the impact. Now, they could be used, as I said, together, in that I could have presented you the information, I'm lecturing for a little while, and now I'm presenting this video in a different, again, different techniques, different possibilities. That's just one example. That's anthropology. Some of you might have recognized the voice there. That was Michael Welsh. This was taken from his presentation to the Library of Congress in 2008. So that's anthropology, an example there. Let's look at another example. This is science and math. Science and math. The Nash equilibrium. The Nash equilibrium is a set of mixed strategies for finite non-cooperative decisions with respect to game theory between two or more players, whereby no player can improve his or her payoff by changing their strategy. Each player's strategy is an optimal response based on the anticipated rational strategy of the other players in the game. If each player has chosen a strategy and no player can benefit by changing his or her strategy while the other players keep theirs unchanged, then the current set of strategy choices and the corresponding payoffs constitute a Nash equilibrium. And there's a theorem there to help explain it. So everyone understands that perfectly well, right? This is what generally goes on in a lot of math classes. So, and that's fine because there's a lot of information that needs to get put out. Mathematics majors needs to know all this information, be able to use it. But there's going to be some people that might not fully comprehend it. I read that about 4 or 5 times and still not quite sure. So this one technique, this is taking abstract information. For a lot of people, mathematics is very abstract until you try and use it, and then it starts to become a little bit more understandable. So again, there's this information. There's one technique. There's a lecture type format. Now let's look at a different possibility using a dramatic video.
You say swords, gentlemen? Pistols at dawn?
Have you remembered nothing? Recall the lessons of Adam Smith, the father of modern economics.
In competition, individual ambition serves the common good.
Exactly.
Every man for himself, gentlemen.
And those who strike out are stuck with their friends.
I'm not gonna strike out.
You can lead a blonde to water, but you can't make her drink.
I don't think you said that.
All right, nobody move. She's looking over here. Right, she's looking at Nash.
Oh, God. All right, he may have the upper hand now, but wait until he opens his mouth. Remember the last time?
Oh, yes, that was one of the history books.
Adam Smith needs revision.
What are you talking about?
If we all go for the blonde, we block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. That's the only way we win. That's the only way we all get laid. Adam Smith said, the best result comes from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself, right? That's what he said, that's right? Incomplete. Incomplete. Okay? Because the best result would come from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself and the group.
Ash, this is some way for you to get the blonde on your own. You can go to hell.
Governing dynamics, gentlemen. Governing dynamics. Adam Smith. Who's wrong?
All right, so again, same information presented in a different format that could possibly yield better understanding, more concrete example being shown there of the Nash equilibrium theory here. Another example. Here we have an example dealing with counseling services information. Here we're talking about suicide prevention. So I'm going to present to you this information dealing with suicide prevention. With regards to suicide prevention, it is important to recognize some of the possible causes as well as various warning signs. Common causes include stress from school performance or meeting parental expectations, as well as general relationship problems. Warning signs can include depression, sadness, changing in eating patterns, worsening of school performance, giving away of prized possessions, as well as attempts at putting things in order before leaving. So here it isn't necessarily a problem with understanding, because it's pretty straightforward, but there's a difference between getting the information and actually retaining it and using it in the future. You know, the problem that counseling services generally runs into is all this information gets put out all the time, but no one remembers it. No one thinks about it. Why? Because when they read through this, oh, that's talking about somebody else. That's not talking about me. That's talking about, people that are completely different that could never apply to anything in my life. So one of the challenges here would be to try and present the information in a way that makes it more real, makes it more than just professional information being presented clinically. And here we have a different possibility with some dramatic video presentation.
Yeah, Sammy boy here's got to study hard for midterms next week, don't you? How's that trig class coming along, huh?
What's the point? I can't get an A anyway. My parents are gonna be mad and disappointed again. I don't even know why I'm in trig. I hate math.
Yeah, well, we can't all be engineers like your dad. Don't sweat it, man. Eat some nachos.
Sammy, come on. You're like one of the smartest guys we know. You'll do fine, all right? Oh, hey, here comes our real food. We ordered you your usual, you know, roast beef, extra onions.
Thanks. You guys know me so well.
Hey, bro, before I forget, thanks again for those DVDs you gave me yesterday. I can't believe you didn't want them anymore. And lunch is on me.
Thanks. Yeah, I wasn't interested in them anymore. So I'm glad you like them, though.
Did you patch things up with Susie?
No. We don't seem to get each other. So, I mean, what's the point? She's too good for me anyway. I'm gonna go. There's some stuff I gotta take care of. It was good to talk to both of you. By the way, thanks for being such good friends.
Hey, no problem. Hey, we still on for hitting the weights tomorrow morning?
Yeah, business as usual.
Later. What?
Something's wrong with Sammy.
What? He's quiet. That's how he always is. That's just how Sammy is.
He's not this quiet, all right? He didn't crack a single joke. He didn't laugh once. I think something's really wrong. I think he could be suicidal.
What? Come on. Suicidal? You really think so?
Listen, I just don't think that he should be alone, all right? I think we should follow him and spend the rest of the day with him. And then tomorrow, we'll take him to counseling services, okay? Get him some real help. I had a good friend go there, and they're very friendly, and they're very safe and private, and they're professionals.
But don't you think he's gonna be mad at us or something?
No, I don't think he's gonna be mad. I think that was his way of reaching out. This is what real friends do.
Hey, Sammy, come here. Let's go do something. Come on.
Okay, so again, basically the same information being presented in a different aspect. We sort of changed it from just clinical information being thrown out there to a scenario in which the information is applied, in which we see that, oh, well, the things that we just talked about, yeah, I can see those things now. So that's another way in that it's not just data, it's also data in context, data in a real-world situation, data in something that could pertain to the student. Final example here deals with psychology, literature, talking about the concept of love at first sight. I remember one of the psychology classes I had, we talked all about this for quite a while, and there were some people that never understood it, never believed in it. They just couldn't understand what this feeling could be like. So here's a couple of explanations of it to try and get people to understand what it would feel like. Although there is debate among psychologists as to the existence of love at first sight, many people fully believe in its existence. Various research postulates that generally the man falls in love first, in that it can happen, and that it can happen within a few seconds to a few minutes. Various definitions by psychologists as well as by literature and those who have experienced it have tried to explain what its true essence is. Love at first sight is a romantic attraction for a stranger on the first sight. It's something special that creates a longing desire that transfixes time and space. You'll know when you see her and can't take your eyes off of her, as if transfixed in a spell, wanting, no, needing to simply be a part of her. From literature, we have Henry Purcell's The Fairy Queen. It's described as, "Yet so pleasing the pain is, so soft is the dart, that at once it both wounds me and tickles my heart." So there's an attempt to try and describe what it is that goes on with love at first sight. So again, lecture type format, giving you the information. Now let's see if there's a different type of impact, a different type of emotional response from the text as opposed to dramatic video presentations. So let's see. So again, another different example there, different possibility. So we've talked about the what and giving you some examples, but now let's address some of the why. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to invest in the time, possibly invest in the money, the energy to actually put all this together? First one, as we mentioned, is to motivate. We want to captivate. We want to pique the interest. Serving in the military and being an instructor, one of the big things that we teach is that before any block of instruction, at the very beginning, we always have to do a motivator. This can take various different forms. It could be a personal story. It could be something from the news. It could be a video such as this, anything. But there has to be a motivator at the beginning. Why? Because within the military, the research that they do, they've decided that you have to have that motivator in order to fully captivate them at the very beginning so that all eyes are on you. If not, then they're going to be doing something else, and then you have to deal with that in another way. So that's why in the military it's vital, and you can see how this can also apply to various courses and classes being taught here, the importance of the motivation to captivate, to pique the interest. Another reason is simply to change the abstract into comprehensible. A good example of that was the Nash equilibrium that we read. Kind of hard to understand, but then when we see it visualized here in a dramatic video, it makes a lot more sense. Oh yeah, it's sort of an aha moment that can be realized through the use of dramatic video. Also to stress the importance, to explain the why. Why do we have to learn this? Oh, because you need it for the next class? Okay, well there's an answer, but maybe you could describe it even more. Maybe you could demonstrate it. Maybe it could be shown somehow so that the student fully understands the why and is that much more motivated to actually do it and to retain it, not just to pass your test, but to apply it to further classes and in the professional realm as well. To aid learning, simply put, to aid in learning. Will you be able to memorize the paragraph that I said about what love at first sight is, or will you be more likely to realize the emotional impact that you saw when you viewed that video there? And to demonstrate application of theory. That kind of goes along again with the Nash equilibrium as well as with the Michael Welsh video there, where we can see it being applied. We can see what it is that we're talking about. Again, turning the abstract into something understandable, into something real. What about the when? When should it be applied? Again, there's no real perfect formula. It all depends. It depends on many different things, such as what is the audience that you're instructing to? What is the subject matter that you're talking about? What is the time frame that you have to give this? Is it appropriate for every single class? Maybe not. Is it appropriate once a class? Possibly. It all depends on how you're going to use it. And again, that how is the key because it shouldn't be used just as a crutch. Oh, well, here I got 10 videos that we're going to be watching and that's my class. No, it should be used as a tool. It should help to enhance what it is that you're trying to do as the instructor. It's a great tool for, to enhance that explanation. I read to you about the Nash equilibrium theory and then we saw a video explanation of it. Definitely enhances the learning. At the beginning, to captivate, to motivate, I talked about how in the military that's what we do. And a discussion starter. It's a great technique is to show a short video and then to talk about the video. as opposed to talking about the abstractness of everything that you've been saying as a lecture format. Now we have something more concrete. Here's that video. Okay, we just saw this video. Now let's discuss this and see how that applies to what I've been teaching you. How does this apply to this concept? What did you like about it? What do you think could be changed within this video to further enhance our understanding of what it is we've been talking about? How does this apply to this? Another technique that I didn't demonstrate here is where you show a video of a problem in general, and now how are you going to apply what we've been learning in our lecture classes? How are we going to apply what we've learned to this problem that we just witnessed? Can it be applied? How could we manipulate it so as to apply it? There's many different techniques that you can use as to when to apply, when to use the video itself. So that's the win, the understanding of it. Another tool of dramatic video could be in, you have your courses that you're teaching. And let's say we're doing this even on campus, where you're presenting the information. Let's say mathematics. Let's go back to the Nash equilibrium theory. You present the information because this is a general flow of the class. I presented it. All my math students are higher level. They understand this stuff. But I have a student who doesn't understand it. Now, I could do something to sort of, in the military, we say, set students up for success, set soldiers up for success as opposed to failure, in that we're already thinking about problem children, problem students, while we're creating this. You know what, this Nash thing, I've had students that had problems in the past, there'll probably be problems in the future. So before I give this block of instruction, I'm going to tell you, we're going to do this lecture on the Nash equilibrium. If you have problems with it, we'll then go into our K-State online course, and in there you'll find an additional video that will help to explain what it is that I'm talking about. So now it falls on the student to, you're empowering them to do some just-in-time learning so that they can basically move outside the classroom, enhance their education, enhance their understanding through the use of this dramatic video, and then come right back into the class without ever having to bother me, the instructor. You're empowering the student. So again, you can see how it could be a benefit to you as well as to when to use it as a tool. All right, so that's the when. What about the how? How are you going to do this? Are you going to make this video that we just saw? Seem to have pretty high production values. The thing is that you can find it. Now again, use of other material, copyright, that's a whole other presentation, okay? And you can talk with the instructional designers about that. But you can use portions. Again, you can see what I was doing. I was showing you clips, not the whole thing, partiality of it, and presenting it as not my own work, but someone else's. So there are plenty of different areas where you can find it. You can find it on TV, movies, the internet, of course. There's libraries have tons of material specifically to assist you as the instructor. You could also create it yourself. A lot of this is definitely easy to create if you put some time into it. You can check out equipment from ITAC. There's plenty of free tools available for creating this stuff. It all depends on what you're going for. You could also have it made. There's value in professional video as well. I do some video creation as well as video production services here on campus. Of course, that costs money, but it all depends on what you're going for. What is the value? We saw that the Michael Welsh video there, that was extremely low production value, right? It was just a handy cam, basically. But you can see how it makes an impact. It explains this abstract information. This data and figures now becomes more personable and becomes more realized and becomes easier to understand and retain simply through the use of it, and that didn't cost that much at all. You could also have students create it. I've seen this applied in various different courses in that the students actually start to create video, and in that process, they have to learn a lot of other things in order to complete that project and fulfill the assignment that you give them. So again, it's definitely a tool, and then through the way that you write it up, you'll be able to use that in future courses as well, future classes, to help to explain different concepts. So it's all different possibilities as far as how you want to implement it. So again, drama, that little acronym that I created there for you, thinking about how to apply it, when to apply it, and how to actually use it overall, it's definitely there as a tool for you. It's been used by other people, and it can definitely be used because when I teach a course to my instructors for the military, the big thing that I tell them is the most devastating thing that you can be as an instructor is boring. Is boring. What can you do to enhance that? What can you do to prevent that? A lot of the material that we have to teach in the military as well as in higher academia is boring, right? It's kind of dry. But what can you do to enhance that? What can you do to make it more real, make it more important? It becomes a lot less boring if I know the importance of it, more than just, well, I need to know this. Questions? Any comments? There's a microphone here so that we can get it all on camera. Can I just project? I don't think it's going to come out on the... Sorry.
So my question is, could you talk a bit about Susie's strategies and how you built the webisode series?
Right. What she's referring to is a series of dramatic videos that were created for counseling services. What they wanted is to help reduce student stress by giving them information dealing with study strategies. So there was lots of talk about how we're going to give this, and what they initially thought is, okay, well, we'll have one of our doctors, a doctorate, give them information that is the current, best regarded techniques for studying and for study strategies so that they can become the best students possible. That was their idea. By doing some research and talking to various students, I asked them what they thought about that, and I looked into it, and they were like, well, that's great, but why would I watch those videos when I can just Google it? Right? I can just Google the information, get it, and it's the exact same thing that I get all the time from other professionals. So again, the idea there is presenting it from professionals, which is, again, we want that professional information, but to make it more interesting and to make it more real for the student, what we decided is to present it in a different way. So we took that professional information and had a female present it, a student, and the way that it worked is that she was basically kind of doing a video blog, a video diary, where she was talking about different situations that occurred in her life, talking about how she tried studying for one test back at her sorority, and it didn't work out well, and then it would flash to a video actually showing her studying there in the sorority, music going on, people having a party over here, all sorts of distractions. So not only did we hear that, oh yeah, it was a problem, but now we actually see it. And by presenting it in a dramatic way, we're somewhat experiencing it as well, because we're putting ourselves in the place of her as a student. She's a student, I'm a student watching it, so I can put myself in that person's position. And that's the big thing that we were going for. And that's one of the tools that dramatic presentation can definitely accomplish. That answer your question? Oh, that's all right. So she asked a question about another video project that's currently going on dealing with traumatic brain injury. Again, the idea here initially was we want to help people with traumatic brain injuries, in that we want to talk about the community support that's associated with that and what can be done to enhance that overall. So the idea initially was to, again, have professionals and just basically give out this information. There's tons of things that you can do. There's things that the community can do. Let's talk about it, and that's it. The idea then changed so as to enhance people's willingness to absorb the information, and that we've made it more personable, and we've gone through and we're doing interviews for people that have suffered traumatic brain injuries, as well as interviewing their support as far as, if they're married, their spouse, their family, and what things the community has done to assist them. So now we're getting that more personable touch from firsthand information, not just information derived from research. Some of that is being put in there, but again, it's coming from the actual source. It's more personable, it's more real. And then we try and do some reenactments a little bit just to enhance the overall understanding of what this person might have gone through. That one is a little bit different in that there's what's called a livability house, and this is through research and extension. And there the idea was that we would create a video that could showcase some of the different things in a livability house, meaning tools that can be used to enhance someone that has suffered some type of brain injury or some type of disabling thing, like if they didn't have an arm or they had mobility issues. So what we've done is we went through this mobility house, usability house, and this is all in Second Life, so this is an all virtual type of video. But we went through and instead of just showing, hey, here's this is what you can do with this, here's this what you can do with this, all good information, but we've changed it up in that it's more of a story type presentation. So it's a young couple coming to meet an older couple, and their house is equipped with all this equipment. And they're going through the scenario of talking about, hey, you know, my husband just returned from Iraq and he has some injuries. What do you do with, you know, what capabilities do you have that have been enhanced through these tools? Can you tell him about it? And then they go through and discuss, and through their discussion, they experience some of these things. So you get to see it firsthand, you know, in a stories type format.
So I have a question. I've just seen this program before. I don't know what it is. It's like animated people, and I think people either type in their script or they read it, and it's animated people, and they say it, and they must set it up somehow. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's not Second Life.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I see YouTube videos and things that are made from it. I'm just not familiar with what it is. But I guess you might.
I don't know the name of it, but basically it's a Flash type interface where it has basically, it's a Flash avatar. So you type in text and then it synthesizes this, and so it sends it all to your avatar, and that person does some movements as well as talk. And yeah, that can be used. There's various different tools that can help to make that real easy. This isn't necessarily about tools, this is just the idea, the concept. But yeah, one thing is where you'd have basically famous characters. You'd have a famous character. Here's Abraham Lincoln talking about his life, you know, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to give you a lecture about it. So there's different techniques, different possibilities, and that'd be a great tool as well. And that would, I think, fall within the realm of dynamic video type presentation. And the big thing with this is that, you know, we tend to associate video with, oh, you mean to put online within my online course? That's a great possibility, but also with on-campus. On-campus, distance, it doesn't matter because it can be used in various different formats. Any other questions? Anybody? Anybody in the back? No? All right, well, if that's it, thank you very much.